All right. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Couch Warrior podcast. As always, I'm your host, Mike, and today we're going to be breaking down UFC 304. I am very excited for this card. It should be a fun one. I don't even think I'm going to be able to watch some of it live if you guys have been watching my recent videos, I've been doing some videos for this promotion called Warrior Cage Grappling. They do like grappling inside of a cage. It's really cool, tournament style. I'll probably be doing another video or at least a post about it this week. And I'm going to be doing live commentary at their event. I'll be doing play-by-play. It'll be live for broadcast. I'll send out a link to everybody who wants to check it out. And yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I'm super excited, a little bit nervous, but because of that, I probably won't be watching the first few fights live. Maybe I'll get home towards the main card, towards the main event, but won't be able to live bet or anything like that during the card, and probably won't be updating till a little bit later. But really hyped, so hopefully that all works out. But let's hop into this card. Last week was not a good week. I have it up. I went 0-5 on my UFC bets. Every single one of them flopped. First reverse sweep in a while. We had Kenan Krzyzewski, lost that bet. We had Cody Durden, lost that one. Dione Barbosa, I mean, what the hell was that? Lost that bet. Lost the Yoic bet and lost the Muhammad Usman bet. None of them really great bets. So going to have to do better this week. We did hit Adam Vigil, though, for Fury FC, so that gave us a little bit of money back. But now going into this week with a pretty big slate, almost purely underdogs, and I am I'm pretty stressed. Like, I like my spots, but at the same time, when you have so many dogs, it's a pretty stressful time. But all right, let's hop right into the card. First fight up, we've got Shauna Bannon versus Elise Ardelean. Bannon, she's going to be 5-1-0. She's 30 years old, 5'5" with a 65-inch reach. On the other side, Elise, she's going to be 32. She's 9'5" 5'3". She's 2 inches shorter, and she's going to be at a 4-inch reach disadvantage. So for me, the way I see it, like, I hate this fight. I definitely don't want to bet it. The only way I might bet it is I'm waiting to see what the Ardelean round 1 and round 2 prop is on DraftKings. If that's big plus money, I might get there because Bannon is all right. I think she could be pretty good. Like, she seems to be a pretty technical striker. I believe a kickboxing background. Takedown defense is pretty decent. Her ground game is pretty decent. Get-ups are pretty good. Her striking is like, I don't know. It feels like it hasn't really translated that well to MMA. Like, her hands are okay, but she doesn't really throw them enough, and she doesn't use them enough. She uses that lead leg. She likes her kicks a lot. She'll do all kinds of different kicks, and they look nice, but there doesn't seem to be much substance to them. I don't really think she's going to come out here and knock anyone out with those kicks. I don't know if she's really going to do a ton of damage with them, but that's the way she fights and can't really do much about it. Ardelean, on the other side, she's fighting completely terrible competition recently, at least. I mean, she's got a loss to Weili Zhang, so not all bad competition. This is in like 2016, I think. But her recent comp, all very, very low level, all very low caliber fighters. She's looked pretty good. I mean, her striking is actually not terrible. To me, it seems pretty good. She looks like she's got some power out of the two of them. I think she's the more likely one to hurt somebody is Elise. And I think the striking's okay, but she gets a little bit wild. She gets pretty sloppy once she's going for the kill, really overextends, and a good counter striker could take advantage. Will Bannon? I don't really think so, but could be, because Ardelean, she is also very hittable. Both are pretty hittable, but I think Ardelean's more hittable. She does have like this hip toss that's pretty good that I've seen her do a few times. Her grappling seems decent. Maybe that's a path. Take Bannon down, do something down there. She's very aggressive. Like, that's probably her strength for me for Elise's. She's very, very aggressive. She goes for the kill, and the skills seem to be decent, but she's terrible defensively. I don't think she's high level whatsoever. And I do lean towards Bannon being able to, keep this on the feet. I don't know how much those hip tosses are going to work on her. I know that her reversals are pretty decent, so maybe she can get taken down but get on top. And on the feet, I think Ardelean will have moments early. I think she can hurt Bannon, maybe finish her. But I think Bannon will take over as the fight extends. I don't think either woman is really super high level, but I think a little bit more highly of Bannon than I do of Elise. but I'm going to stay away. I'm not going to bet anything unless, like I said, the Elise round 1-2 is like something good. Like maybe, I don't even know what would get me interested, like plus 600, something like that, maybe a bit higher, then I'd get in. Sean over here saying, I feel like this is one of the easier betting cards in recent memory, kind of like the Brazil card. I mean, I hope you're right. I had a great Brazil card. I don't feel as good about this one, but we'll see. We'll see, man. I mean, I know a lot of people are loving all the favorites, but I'm liking most of the underdogs, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing this week. All right, next up, we've got Mick Parkin versus Lukasz Brzeski. Parkin, he's going to be 9-0. He's undefeated, 28 years old, 6'4" with a 79-inch reach. On the other side, Brzeski, 9-4-1. He's 32, so he's going to be 4 years older, same height, and he's going to be at a 1-inch reach disadvantage. It's another spot where, for me, honestly, I think it's dog or pass. Parkin, I think he's pretty good. He's all right, but I don't like. There's things I don't like about him too. Like for the good, he seems to be pretty well rounded. He's got a really good training partner in Tom Aspinall, interim champ. Can't get much better than that. He has, like I said, the striking's pretty good. I guess it's very. I just feel like he's very like laboring, very plotty, very just heavy on his feet, just very flat-footed. He's got like decent head movement, but other than that, I think he's pretty hittable because he's so just immobile. He's just like planted firm, like moves really, really heavy. I think he's a bit slow. Honestly, I think he's pretty slow. I don't think his performances have been that impressive against Usman, against Cal Machado. And I actually think Brzeski's a similar matchup to Machado. Just Brzeski is more like a cleaner striker than Machado. Machado is very wild, but he has good output. He's a little bit lighter for a heavyweight, and he moves a little bit more. Brzeski, a little bit lighter for a heavyweight. Like you see, 236 pounds, I think, was his last weigh-in. So well under the heavyweight limit. He does move more. He's not like some crazy, like, nonstop movement, but he moves. He's lighter on his feet than Parkin is, for sure. And I think the output is much better for Brzeski. I like his striking a little bit better than Parkin's. Parkin's, even the stuff that, like, goes straight, it almost looks like it's still kind of going over the top. You know what I mean? It's like he's kind of punching down and just doesn't look as great to me. I feel like Brzeski, he's a little bit cleaner, a little bit more straight down the pipe. And I also really like that he goes to the body a lot. And I think against Parkin's cardio is okay, but he definitely slows down. And I think if Brzeski's going to that body early and often, like he normally does, I think he's very live. Now, the weakness for Brzeski here is going to be the grappling. That's normally going to be his weakness, his takedown defense. I think it's okay. Like looking at the things he does, he's doing the right things. He's looking for hand control. He's trying to get the underhooks. He can be taken down, though. Parkin really likes that single leg. I'm not sure if that's going to work many times on Brzeski. I think it'll work a few times. But I also think that there's a good chance that Brzeski can get back up. What I did notice that I don't love on the Brzeski side is that when he is getting back up, his back is just out there, kind of ready to be taken. And Parkin's got decent jiu-jitsu. It's not like his main weapon, but we've seen him get a sub before. We've seen him take the back before. And I could see him doing that here. So I understand why Parkin's a favorite. I guess he's the rightful favorite, so he'll be my pick. But in terms of betting, I think this is dog or pass because Parkin is just slow. Parkin doesn't have the best output. He's a little bit hit or miss with the output. And I just think that if he doesn't get the wrestling going, he's not going to look minus 300 against Brzeski. I've been betting Brzeski for a while. Finally cashed him last time out against Walker as a big dog. Should have cashed him as a big dog against Budai. He was like plus 250. I had 2 units on him. That sucked. But I think he's pretty live here. I might get to a Brzeski bet. Right now I'm waiting. I'm just going to wait out the line, see what happens, and then I'll make my move if I decide to. But dog or pass for me, and we can move on. Jonathan over here saying Brzeski or nothing. All right, I like it. And let's real quick, just wanted to say thanks, Prepare the Way movement. I appreciate that. And yes, my 0-5 last week was terrible. And thank you, Daz. Thanks for tuning in, bro. But all right, moving on. We've got Sam Patterson versus Kiefer Crosbie. Sam Patterson 11-2-1. He's 28, 6'3" with a 78-inch reach. Crosbie 10-4-0. He's 34. He's 6 years older. He's going to be 4 inches shorter, and he's going to be at an 8-inch reach disadvantage. So for me here, I like Patterson to win. Don't really want to bet it. Minus 400, whatever he is, minus 380. I mean, I get it. On one hand, Crosbie just has never been very impressive whatsoever. Seems to kind of struggle once the fight gets to the mat. I don't necessarily think he has bad takedown defense. Like looking back at his tape, there's not many fights where he's like getting taken down. The fight kind of just ends up there and he ends up getting subbed. But takedown defense isn't the best, I would say. And the ground game, once he's down on the mat, definitely isn't the best. Doesn't really know how to defend a lot of subs. And someone like Patterson, who's got a pretty good ground game, can definitely take advantage. I don't think Patterson's like an elite wrestler by any means, but I think he's good enough where he can get Crosbie down. I do think he can sub Crosbie, but I don't want to lay the chalk because the guy, he looks much better at welterweight. Definitely shouldn't have been at lightweight. He's huge. Even as a welterweight, he's a huge guy, way bigger than Crosbie here. But it's like moving weight classes hasn't changed the fact that his chin is still up in the air. Every time he throws a strike, the chin goes up. And Crosbie, say what you want about him. You don't think he's good, whatever. He's a pretty good boxer and he hits hard. I think that's a fact. So I do think that he can catch Patterson. I do think he can crash the pocket, land something really big, put Patterson out. So because of that, I can't get to a Patterson bet. And I certainly can't get to a sub bet when he's like plus 110. I mean, when it's like minus 120 or something. I think it's even wider now. Because what if he gets Kiefer Crosbie down, takes his back, can't get the chin, and then gets a ground and pound TKO? Then your sub ticket that you played a full unit on goes in flames, and then you're sad. So don't be sad. Probably not the move to go and lay chalk on Patterson. My guy Kjarik's over here, minus 500, and the guy chinned by Moda. I mean, forget Moda. He got chinned by freaking, what's his face? Ashmus. Got chinned by him. It was literally one punch. Caught the kick, punch on the way down, and knocked him out. Kiefer Crosbie hits real hard. Similar style to Ashmus. So, yeah, I think Patterson wins. He's the pick, but I don't really want to bet anything on this fight. Again, it might be a spot if I can get like a really good like Crosbie round 1-2. That could be interesting. But other than that, I'm not really dying to play that fight. Yeah, Jonathan thinking what I'm thinking. If anything, it's Crosbie early, but like I said, I'm not super excited to play that. Sorry about that. I'm a little sick still. But all right, moving on. Next up, we've got Muhammad Mokaev versus Manel Kape. This is the fourth fight of the card, and it's pretty weird, but I'll get into that in a sec. Mokaev, 11-0. He's undefeated, 23 years old. He's 5'7" with a 70-inch reach. Kape on the other side, 19-6-0. He's 7 years older at 30. He's going to be 2 inches shorter and going to be at a 2-inch reach disadvantage. So for me, I like Mokaev. I played him relatively early. I got him at plus 110. Tracked it at plus 100 by accident, but it is what it is. So as a dog, I liked him a lot. Now I'm starting to get a little nervous about the line. Like if I was playing it now, I'd probably be playing Kape. And here's what I'm thinking. So first off, talking about him being on the early prelims, my theory, they're just done with the guy. I don't know what happened, but I did hear behind the scenes that this is it for Mokaev. This is the last fight on his contract. And apparently the UFC has no interest in re-signing him whatsoever. I don't know what happened. Maybe like just personal beef. Something went wrong. And they're just not about this guy anymore. And it seems like that's being confirmed because I can't really think of another reason why you would move this down from the main card to the early prelims. Not even just the prelims, but the early prelims. So I'm a mess over here. But yeah, that's why I think he's on the early prelims. I think the UFC is just kind of getting to the point where they're over him. Maybe it's just because he's boring, but I don't think that's why. I think it's truly because they're done with him. I don't think he's being re-signed. So that's one thing. And it's one thing to think about because how's that going to affect him mentally, knowing, this is my last fight and I'm not getting re-signed, win or lose. He probably still wants to go out and win. He's still young. He's still got a future, even if it's in a different promotion. But that's got to affect the guy. That's definitely got to have some effect. So I am a little concerned about that. And the other reason I don't think he's the best bet at chalk is, if Kape can stuff the takedowns, it's not even a competition. The reason I played Mokaev as a dog is because I do think he has wrestling upside. I think he's very young. I think the striking is coming into his own. He's getting better. He's improving there. And he's already an elite grappler, very good jiu-jitsu, very good wrestling, and he's relentless. He'll keep going, keep shooting, keep going. But if Kape can keep it on the feet, Mokaev's not going to look minus 150. He's going to look like plus money, like what I bet, because Kape is a really good striker. Kape has really clean striking. He's got a lot of power. He's got a lot of different tools in his weapons. I'm sorry, a lot of different weapons in his toolbox, in his arsenal. And if Mokaev can't get the fight on the ground, I think he might be in trouble here. But I do think that most of the time he will be able to get it to the ground. Kape has pretty good takedown defense and pretty good get-ups, but that doesn't stop Mokaev. Mokaev is relentless, and that's why he'll shoot nonstop. He'll get 10, 11 takedowns in a fight because he doesn't always have the best control, but he can get those takedowns, and I think he's going to do it here, and I think he's going to win the fight. But again, I wouldn't condone betting him at chalk just because if he can't get the takedowns, you're going to be pretty sick to your stomach. So it's Mokaev for me, but I don't think you should be betting him unless it's close to evens or like plus money. I guess I would line him a slight favor, like ever so slightly, maybe like minus 120. But we can move on. Next up, we've got Oban Elliot versus Preston Parsons. Elliot, he's going to be 10-2-0. He's 26 years old, 6 feet tall with a 72-inch reach. Parsons on the other side, he's 11-4-0. He's 29, so he's 3 years older. Going to be 1 inch shorter, and he's going to be at a 1 inch reach disadvantage. I'm on Parsons. I played him at minus 130 to win 1 unit, and I like the spot, but at the same time, I'm getting a little nervous. The line's really coming in on Parsons, getting some CLV, which never goes well for me ever. And I just feel like Elliot's being overlooked a little bit, honestly, because this is like a very close fight, in my opinion. I think both these guys are pretty similar. I do think Parsons can stand out enough where he's going to cover a line like minus 130, but I don't know. I feel like the line's a little bit wide. The way I see it, like on the feet, I think Elliot's a little bit cleaner because out of the two of them, who throws strikes straight down the pipe? It's Elliot. Elliot's got a good jab. He's got a good 1-2. He's got pretty solid combinations. Seems to hit decently hard. Output is pretty decent. And he's just, out of the two of them, he's the one who's going to throw down the pipe. And when you have two guys and one of them's throwing strikes like this with a loop and the other one's throwing a strike like this down the pipe, who's going to land first? The guy who threw straight. So that's why I feel like on the feet, Elliot might have a little bit more success. Parsons has improved with the boxing. He seems to be getting a little bit better. The combinations are getting a little bit better. And he does seem to hit a little bit harder than Elliot, despite not having any knockouts, I don't think. But I do think Elliot's got the better striking. Now, in the grappling, both guys are pretty good wrestlers. I think that out of the two of them, I like Parsons' offensive wrestling better. I think he's more likely to get takedowns, and I think he's more likely to stuff the takedowns. Now, with Elliot, there's not a ton of tape of him being taken down. The main time he really got taken down and out-grappled was when he fought, what's his face? In the UFC now, just lost to Figlak. Like, when he fought Figlak, he got out-grappled. Figlak's a smaller guy, a lightweight, and Figlak was able to get takedowns. Figlak was able to out-scramble him. Now, when he fought Madar Flaminas, he didn't really get taken down. It was like weird, but he ended up on the mat, and then he got stuck. Like, he got out-scrambled by Flaminas, and he couldn't get back up. And I just feel like if Parsons can get on top, if he can get those takedowns, he's going to be able to control Elliot. Whereas if Elliot takes Parsons down, I think Parsons is really good at scrambling, and he can get it back on the feet. I also rate the jiu-jitsu of Parsons higher, jiu-jitsu brown belt. I think he's really good on the ground. He's got really clean transitions, really good attempts, a good back take. So I do favor Parsons here. I like the money line. I think it's starting to get a little bit wide. Let me check what it's at right now. Minus 140. Money's coming in. I think the other bet I like here, and I don't know if I'm going to get to it yet, I might, is fight goes the distance at plus 105. If anyone's going to finish, I think it's probably going to be Parsons getting a sub. But I also think there's a pretty good chance we go all 15 because, A, 2 grapplers, so they're probably going to kill a good amount of time on the clock. And B, I don't think either of them's a major threat on the feet. I don't really see Elliot knocking out Parsons, and I don't really see Parsons knocking out Elliot. So for me, I think the fight goes is a pretty good bet, and I might get there. The only reason I'm like hesitant to get there is because I played Parsons, and if he gets the sub, I'm going to end up winning nothing, and that's going to be really annoying. So we'll see if I end up playing it, but if you don't want to touch a money line, I think fight goes is a good bet here. I don't really think a finish is going to happen. Again, if it does, it's probably Parsons sub, but I don't think it's going to happen at a high clip. We can move on, though. Next up, we've got Modestas Bukauskas versus Marcin Prachnio. Now, Modestas is 15-6-0. He's 30 years old, 6'3" with a 78-inch reach. On the other side, Prachnio, 17-7-0. He's 36. He's 6 years older, same height, and he's going to be at a 4-inch reach disadvantage. I favor Modestas here. It's funny. When this guy first got signed to the UFC, I was like, wow, he's going to be something. Like, this guy's going to be not champ, but I thought he's going to be like a challenger. I thought he was going to be up there for sure. And man, has he's proven to me very stupid. He made me look real dumb with that. He's not going to be champion, I don't think. But look, the way I see it, I think Modestas' skill for skill is much better than Prachnio. I think he's a much cleaner striker. And that's really what it comes down to, because neither of these guys really grapples. Like, Modestas doesn't shoot takedowns ever. Really doesn't do it ever. And Prachnio has a pretty crap ground game, both offensively and defensively. So I don't really see the grappling coming into play too much. And out of the two of them, I like Modestas' striking a lot more. I think he's cleaner, more straight down the pipe. The issue is he's chalk. He's minus 150, and he doesn't do anything. The guy comes out here, and he just has no urgency whatsoever, and it's one of the most aggravating things ever. I had him in the Pauga fight. He won. I don't think he deserved the win. I think I got lucky. I think he won a robbery. And I just feel like if Pauga was able to do it, why can't Prachnio? Because Prachnio, he does things. He does stuff, you know? He's got a karate style. Doesn't look like karate to me, but he's at least throwing, you know? He's throwing kicks. He's throwing punches. I don't think they're as clean as Modestas, like I was talking about earlier. Prachnio's got a little bit more of a loop to his strikes. Modestas is a bit more straight. So who's going to land first? Modestas. But Modestas doesn't throw enough. If I knew he's going to be throwing like 100 or more, at least attempts, like strike attempts, then I'd feel better about it. But because I know that he can come out here, have his moments, but lose the minutes because he's not having the urgency to strike, to throw, it's going to suck to lose that ticket at chalk. So I think Modestas should win, but I don't know if I can back him at minus 150, knowing full well that there's a very, very, very high chance that he comes out and fights at a very low pace, and Prachnio just wins by just doing more. So pick is Modestas, but no play here whatsoever for me unless the line like really, really comes down. All right, moving on. We've got Caolan Loughran versus Jake Hadley. Loughran 9-1-0. He's 28 years old, 5'6" with a 68-inch reach. Hadley on the other side, he's 10-3-0. He's 27, so he's 1 year younger, going to be 1 inch taller, and he's going to be at a 2-inch reach advantage. I played Hadley early when he was plus 210. I don't know how I feel about the bet. The way I see it, hold up, I'm dying here. It's so hot in here. 1 second, please. All right, hopefully that's better. But yeah, so the way I see it, plus 210 on Hadley, I think is a good bet, but I'm a little nervous about it because Loughran. So first thing I want to talk about, Hadley coming up in weight class, right? He's normally a flyweight. He's coming up to bantamweight here, but he's not a small dude. Like, he was a really big flyweight. He's the taller guy here. He's got the reach advantage here, and I think he's going to be the bigger guy, and I don't think that the size is going to be a huge thing. But Loughran he might not be tall. He's shorter, but he's so thick. The dude is built literally like a mini fridge. He's a walking, talking mini refrigerator, and he's very strong. He's very physical. And Hadley doesn't have the best takedown defense at flyweight. He's getting taken down by Durden, for example. And Durden, Durden is a very good wrestler, very solid wrestling, better than Loughran, I would say, just technique-wise. But Durden isn't as physical as Loughran, and Loughran is very physical. He's got good top control. And I think that if Loughran takes Hadley down, it might be a little bit tough for Hadley. Hadley does have good jiu-jitsu. He does have good scrambling. He's got a good bottom game. He could be a little bit too happy to be on his back, which is a concern. But I can also see him being able to use his jiu-jitsu to scramble back up on his feet. And on the feet, I think it's a close fight. Loughran's a good striker, but he doesn't move his head. He's a complete blockhead, and his head is just there. He's durable, but he's very easy to hit. And I think that Hadley's a little bit of a better boxer. I like his striking a little bit more than Loughran's. And I think that if Hadley can keep this on the feet, I think he's very live to win. And when Loughran shoots, if Hadley can just scramble and use that to get back up and not kind of sit on his back, I do think he can win this fight. At the same time, I can see Loughran being very competitive on the feet, getting takedowns and winning the fight. But at plus 210 on Hadley, I was willing to take the shot. It's not my favorite bet. Maybe I jumped the gun a little bit, but I think there's worse spots than Hadley plus 210. So the pick will be Loughran just because he's at his natural weight class. He's not on short notice, and he's got wrestling upside. But the line's too wide. Played the plus 210 on Hadley, and we'll see what happens. Moving on, we've got Molly McCann versus Bruna, Brazil. McCann, she's going to be 14-6-0, 34 years old, 5'4" with a 62-inch reach. Brazil on the other side, 9-4-1. She's 30, so she's 4 years younger. She's going to be 2 inches taller and have a 3-inch reach advantage. So for me, I guess I'm going to pick Molly to win. I get it. She's got the crowd behind her. She's got good pressure. She's very aggressive, at least when she's fighting at home. And Brazil, you know, she hasn't really performed in the UFC. But seeing a lot of people calling Brazil like a bum, saying she's horrible, she's terrible, I don't really get that. Usually I feel like when people say that, they just kind of lost a bet on them, laid chalk or something and lost a bet. And since then, they're just salty. Maybe that's it. Maybe she really is that bad and I'm just not seeing it. But I don't think Brazil is that bad. I think Brazil is actually a clean striker. I like her striking more than Molly's. I just wish she did it more. That's the issue. Is she's kind of like a Modestas, where she comes out here and kind of stares at her opponents and doesn't do much. But if she's throwing, if she's putting together combos, I think she's very solid. She got clean hands down the pipe. She got good kicks, and she mixes it all together into combinations very well. So I feel like on the feet, technique-wise, I like Brazil striking more. Now, in practice, what's going to happen? I mean, I can see Molly crashing the pocket, coming in with strong forward pressure, and just landing a lot more because she's got good output, especially when she's fighting very aggressive, fighting at home. She's throwing a lot. So I do think she's going to be pressuring Brazil. I think she's going to be landing. I think Brazil got that tall woman's defense, chin in the air. So I do think Molly's got an edge there. And Molly can probably get some takedowns, but I think Brazil can get her own takedowns too. I don't think Molly has elite takedown defense by any means. I think she can be taken down. And I think Brazil's takedowns are decent. And like I said, I think Brazil can compete on the feet with Molly here as long as she's throwing and not letting Molly just back her up. So I'll pick Molly. I'm not dying to play Brazil even at plus 250 because, like I said, I could see her just letting Molly win, you know, like not on purpose, but letting her win by not doing enough and just letting Molly win the moments. But I don't think Molly's going to run through her. I don't really think Molly's going to finish her. So for me, it's Molly as the pick. No real interest in any bets. The only thing I'm like kind of interested in is like the over 2.5 is minus 145 in a strawweight fight. Like you don't see that often at all. And I think that's completely predicated on people thinking Molly's going to come out here and just run through Brazil. But I just don't really think she's going to. So if I play anything, it's going to be a total probably. But other than that, I don't have much interest in this fight whatsoever. Molly will be the pick, mostly just narrative based, and we can move on. Next up, we've got Nathaniel Wood versus Daniel Pineda. Wood, 19-6-0. He's 30 years old, 5'6" with a 69-inch reach. Pineda on the other side, he's going to be 28-15-0. He's 38, so he's 8 years older, 1 inch taller, and he's going to have the same reach. So, look, I think Wood wins. I think Wood wins at a high clip. I think he's skill for skill significantly better. It's just, it's hard. Like, don't parlay him at minus 500, 400, whatever it is, because I just don't think he's a good featherweight. I mean, no, I'm saying that wrong. He's still a good fighter at featherweight. I just don't think it's the right weight class for him. I don't love the move up. I think he's too small. I think he's going to be out physicaled by a lot of guys in this division, and Pineda's one of them. Pineda is strong. He's a physical dude. He hits really hard. Wood has had chin issues in the past. He gets hurt in a lot of his fights, a lot of them. And Pineda hits hard. So can Pineda finish Wood? Absolutely. I think he can catch Wood with a hook or something, and I think he can knock Wood out. I also think Pineda could possibly get a sub. He's very opportunistic. He's got 19 submission wins, and something like a club and sub wouldn't be crazy. Pineda's got decent wrestling. Maybe he can get a takedown and do some work. So I think there's a decent argument to be made for Pineda getting a finish, and that's why I don't think you should be parlaying Wood. But at the same time, outside of a possible finishing upside for Pineda, I think Wood is better everywhere. I think Wood is a better striker by miles. I think that Wood, his power, I will say that his power seems to have translated to 45. If anything, I think it got even a little bit better. He's getting hurt, but he's also hurting a lot of his opponents, even at 145. So I think he's live to get his own finish. I think he's a better striker. I think he's a better offensive wrestler. I think he's got good takedown defense to keep it on the feet if he wants it there. So for me, I think it's Wood. What I ended up playing was I played Wood round 3 or decision at plus 120. And the way I see it is Pineda, he's good early, but he does slow down really, really hard. And I think Wood's going to take over and probably get a finish late. A little worried he might get a finish in the second round because Pineda will fall off even in the second. But I think it's more likely that if Wood does get a finish, it'll probably be in the third. And I think it's also very likely he just wins a decision. So for me, Wood round 3 decision at plus 120. I think that's a good bet. I put 1 unit on it, and that's what I'm going with. And we can move on. All right, we're on the main card now. And first up, we've got Arnold Allen versus Giga Chikadze. Allen, 19-3-0. He's 30 years old, 5'8" with a 70-inch reach. On the other side, Giga, 15-3-0. He's 35. He's 5 years older. He's going to be 4 inches taller, and he's going to be at a 4-inch reach advantage. Real quick, catching up with the chat. My guy, 138 MMA. It's all good, brother. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you guys are checking out my guy, Tyler. He's dope. He's got an awesome show of his own. And tomorrow, we'll be going live for our panel that we do every week. Every time there's a pay-per-view. It's going to be me and Tyler, and we got 2 awesome guests this week. We're going to be joined by Narco from Narco MMA, I think is his handle. I got to double check. But Narco, you guys all know him. And Liam Picks Fights, you guys all know him as well. 2 really dope guests, 2 really sharp guys. So it should be a lot of fun. Make sure to check that out tomorrow. I believe we're going live at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. But all right. And my guy Jonathan over here saying Pineda may finish Wood. Like I said, yeah, I could see it happening, but my pick's Wood. All right, so for this fight, Arnold Allen, Giga. I went into this one thinking Allen would be one of my favorites. Not like my favorite bet, but like one of the favorites that I bet on this card. And I talked myself out of it. Honestly, I talked myself out of it. So I guess he's a favorite because A, there's grappling upside, and B, Giga, long layoff after getting the shit kicked out of him against Cater. And then he comes back against Caceres, wins that fight, but wasn't super impressive, in my opinion. I mean, Caceres is a tough out for anybody. He's difficult. He's not like – he's very unorthodox in the way he fights. So he's hard to handle, but it wasn't the best look for Giga. And Allen, while he's been on a losing streak, the losses are pretty good, and he looks pretty good in those losses. Evloev is a tough out, and he did pretty well in that fight, all things considered. Max Holloway, the GOAT. So it's okay that he lost to him, and he still had his moments there too. The way I see it, I think the striking is pretty close. I think that Giga is a better striker. I think Giga throws straight down the pipe. Been talking about it on the show. If 2 guys are throwing, one guy's throwing like this, Arnold Allen, and one guy's throwing like this, Giga. Who's going to land first is probably Giga. And I think Allen is actually a little bit hittable. So is Giga, but I think that Giga actually is going to have a lot of success on the feet. I think just standing, I favor him. I think he's got a better output than Allen. I think he hits – I don't know if he hits harder. It's hard to tell, honestly. Both guys seem to hit really hard. But he's just more technical. He's a lot more technical, straight down the pipe. He's got good kicks, and he seems to throw more than Allen does. Allen, he's a pretty good striker too. Good 1-2, solid jab. But everything he throws kind of has a loop to it. And the best work he does is when he's in the pocket, when he's just throwing like crazy. That's when he's most dangerous. But then he's also in the pocket, hands wide open to counters. So I think that on the feet, Giga's not going to look plus 200. If you're betting Allen at minus 230, you're probably banking on him being able to wrestle. And it's a possibility. But the thing is, he doesn't really wrestle often. Like, what fights is he coming out here and shooting, really? He almost never does. And when he did against Sadiq Yusuf, he couldn't hold him down to save his life. I think he held him down for like 20 seconds each time, and then Yusuf was right back to his feet. Giga doesn't have the best takedown defense, but I don't think it's awful either. I mean, Cater did take him down. Cater took his back, so maybe Allen can too. I get that. But otherwise, like, Giga's takedown defense is pretty good. His get-ups are pretty good. Allen doesn't have good control, and Allen doesn't really wrestle often. So I can't really feel comfortable laying minus 230 on him, because if I think that it's not a guarantee that he's going to have success on the ground, I can't justify minus 230 on the money line, because in the striking, I like Giga better. Maybe Allen hits harder, but everything else I give to Giga. But I will recognize the grappling edge, and just the fact that Giga hasn't looked the best, Allen's fighting at home, and just those things, I do lean the Allen side. I will pick him, but I didn't want to play the money line. I played something else here. So I think I'm going a little bit against the grain. I know everyone is loving the overs on this fight. I went with the fight doesn't go. I think it's pretty nicely lined. It's sitting at plus 170 on Bet Online, and I like that spot. I get that both of these guys historically are very, very durable, but at the same time, both of them have been hurt before, and eventually that first knockout loss is going to come. I don't think it will be the first. I don't remember. Or actually, it might be. I don't think. Hold up. I know Giga's been subbed for sure on the Contender Series by blanket on his name. Don't think either guy's been knocked out. Giga never been knocked out. Allen never been knocked out. Yeah, so it would be the first time either one of them got knocked out. But both of them have been hurt before. Both of them have been hurt in several fights. And the way they fight, just both guys, aggressive strikers who hit really hard. I wouldn't be shocked if either of them put the other out. I think Giga can knock out Allen. Allen doesn't have great defense. His hands are pretty low. His head is kind of out there. He's got this weird stance that I think is going to lend itself towards Giga's kicks. So I wouldn't be shocked if Giga caught him. I think Allen can knock out Giga because Allen hits really hard and Giga is a little bit stiff and kind of stands there. Doesn't have the best defense. So I think a knockout can happen on either side. And I think Allen could get that sub. So my rule going into this year was if I can name at least 2 ways the fight ends and the fight ending inside the distance is plus money, I should play that. So I'm listening to myself, and I played fight doesn't go here at plus 170. I put 0.9 units on it to win 1.5, I think. And then I also put a tenth of a unit, 0.1. I put it on Allen round 3 sub at plus 3,200. You know I got to have my generational wealth prop on the card, and that's it. Plus 3,200 on FanDuel. I think that's a very good line because Giga does slow down. Allen might have that grappling upside, and he's got decent jiu-jitsu, very opportunistic. So round 3 sub sprinkle for 0.1 units, and then the main play on this fight is fight doesn't go at plus 170 for 0.9. Pick will be Allen, but I think Giga's a very, very live dog. But let's move on. Next up, we've got my guy. We got Christian Leroy Duncan versus Gregory RoboCop Rodriguez. Duncan 10-1-0. He's 29 years old, 6'2" with a 79-inch reach. Rodriguez on the other side, he's going to be 15-5-0, 32. He's 3 years older, 1 inch taller. I don't know about that. Gonna have to see that to believe it. Duncan is huge, and he's got a 75-inch reach, so he's at a 4-inch reach disadvantage. I love RoboCop. I bet on him almost every single time, and it's worked out pretty well for me. I mean, he's really, really good, and I'm betting on him here again. I played him at plus 120 for 1 unit. My main concern is definitely the chin, and it's hard to know where his chin's really at, right? On one side, he's getting hurt a lot. He's getting hurt in a lot of fights. He's getting wobbled in a lot of fights. But at the same time, most of them, he's recovering. In the Park fight, Park hurts him real bad. It looks like he's going to go out. And then he knocks out Park. In the Cheaty fight, his eyebrow is falling off. His entire forehead is just going down his face. Comes in and he gets a finish. Like, the dude is, he's durable, I think. It's hard to tell. But the chin is a little bit of a concern. Recovery is good. But that's why I'm a little nervous about this play. Other than that, I really like it. Duncan, dude's a stud. He's very young, still 29. I think he's going to get better and better. I think that he's definitely got potential to be up there as one of the best guys in the division. He's very big. He uses his length very well. He's a very clean striker, and he's a very dynamic striker. He's got a lot of different weapons, a lot of tools, a lot of spinning stuff. But I got an issue with the spinning stuff. In general, like if you've been watching me over the years, I don't like guys who throw primarily spinning attacks. I think you need to mix it up. You need to do other things. And Duncan sometimes will come out there and just throw almost purely spinning things with a few kicks in between. And I think if he spins a lot here, he's going to be giving Greg what he wants because Greg's going to be able to take him down. I'm blanking on which fight it was that Duncan had, but Duncan went for a spinning attack. I think it was the Dejanti Milan. Is that his name? I think it was that fight where he went for like a spinning thing and Milan just took him down. And I think that RoboCop 100%, if Duncan is throwing spinning things without a setup, I think RoboCop can take him down, and I think he's very dangerous on the ground. I think so far in Duncan's career, Rodriguez is by far the best wrestler and the best jiu-jitsu practitioner that Duncan has faced. I think that Rodriguez can get him down. I think Rodriguez can do work on the ground against him. We've seen Duncan taken down before. Petrosian did it, and Petrosian is primarily a striker. Milan did it. Milan had a hard time holding him down, but Milan's on the smaller side and also doesn't have the best jiu-jitsu or the best control. And he got taken down by Curry too. Curry, I believe, he got his back. And I just think that Rodriguez will be able to take him down. I think Rodriguez can get the back. I think Rodriguez has all the submission upside here. And on the feet, I think Duncan is cleaner, but I think Rodriguez is also a very solid striker. His boxing has gotten a lot better. He's got a really good jab, good combinations, and very good forward pressure. And the way I see it, if Duncan's going to win this fight, he needs to keep it clean. He needs to keep Rodriguez away from him, stop him from pushing forward, be the aggressor, and keep it a clean fight where you're going to be at your best. For Rodriguez, he's got to turn it into a brawl, and he does that every single time. So it's going to be hard for Duncan to kind of, stop that, keep him away, keep him at range, and be able to just outstrike him at range because that's what he's got to do. I just don't know if he's going to be able to do it because Rodriguez has really good forward pressure. He doesn't stop moving forward. I think he's going to put Duncan on the back foot. I think he's going to make Duncan uncomfortable. I think he can hurt Duncan on the feet, and I think he can mix up takedowns and have all the grappling upside. So for me, at plus money, it's a pretty easy click. Now, does that mean it's going to cash? Of course not. I think there's a good chance that Duncan can catch Rodriguez, and if he does, it is what it is. But I do think Rodriguez should win this fight. I would have had him as a slight favorite, and because of that, I'm playing him at plus 120, and he'll be my pick to win as well. Real Fight Picks, thanks for tuning in, brother. Thanks for all the insight. I'm stuck on taping Ardelean. Then I still have to break down her. Oh, my Lord. You guys are crazy, I tell you. All right. Next up, we've got Bobby Green versus Paddy Pimblett. Bobby Green, 32, 15-1. He's 37 years old, 5'10" with a 71-inch reach. On the other side, Paddy, he's 21, 3-0. He's 29, so he's going to be 8 years younger, same height, and he's at a 2-inch reach advantage. So, way I see it, if we're throwing everything off the table, all narrative, everything, and just looking at stylistically this matchup, I mean, it's Bobby all day long. Where does Paddy have significant success here? If Paddy can get it to the ground, yeah, Paddy's got really good jiu-jitsu. Bobby, we haven't really seen him tested down there all too often because his takedown defense is really good, but I'll get to that in a second. But if Paddy can get it to the ground, I do think his jiu-jitsu is good enough to maybe catch Green in something. But here's the thing. His wrestling's not good. Paddy's not a good wrestler. He's got decent entries sometimes. The single leg is pretty good when he'll go for the single, and then he'll come outside and try to finish it with the trip. But that also sometimes ends up with him on his back because if his opponents can lift their hips and be higher than he is, they're going to end up on top in that position when he goes for that sweep. So I don't really see how it's going to be easy for Paddy to get Bobby Green on the ground. I think he's going to really struggle to do that. Bobby has very, very good takedown defense. And Paddy just, he's not even shooting that often recently. Like, you look back at his numbers, like, the dude doesn't really shoot takedowns, first of all. And second of all, when he does, they're not often very good. So I think that Bobby's going to be able to defend a lot of it. And on the feet, I mean, does anyone think Paddy's a better striker than Bobby? I don't think so. I don't even think it's close. Bobby's output is way better on the feet. He's a lot cleaner of a boxer, like a lot cleaner of a boxer. And I think his defense is better. I mean, his hands are down, so I could see Paddy coming out here and catching him with something because Bobby, he's starting to get up there in age, starting to get a little bit older. I think the chin is starting to go a little bit. And Paddy is very aggressive, and he hits really hard, and he's very, very explosive. So I'm not counting Paddy out to get a knockout. But other than that, I think Bobby's better. And I think that Bobby's defense, even though his hands are down, is pretty good because he rolls with the punches really well. Whereas Patty, I mean, the chin is just up. He doesn't do anything to defend himself. He's super hittable. And he's very plotty. He doesn't have great movement. So for me, it's like if you're betting Patty, you're betting mostly on narrative. Like, can he win? Of course he can win. He can probably catch Bobby, whether it's a knockout or somehow gets it to the ground opportunistically and locks in a sub. But at the same time, I can see him coming out here and not being able to get takedowns and Bobby just piecing him up on the feet. Now, then we add in the narrative of Patty much younger, Patty fighting at home, maybe hometown cooking. Now, I don't believe in hometown cooking. I don't think it's real. I think it's a narrative Capper's made up. I think that there's no data whatsoever to back up the fact that people fighting at home win robberies more often than not. I don't think it's true. I think we've seen plenty of times where the hometown guy got robbed in his own damn hometown. Davey Grant sticks out against Daniel Marcos. So I don't really believe in that. But, you know, I can recognize that I'm not always right about everything. And I could think something doesn't exist, but it does. So I always leave a little bit of room in what I consider, and I still consider things like that. So, you know, Patty will have the hometown advantage. Patty will have the crowd behind him. And if hometown cooking does exist, I mean, it's probably going to be Patty who gets it, especially with the way we've seen with the Jared Gordon fight. I don't think it's fixed. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's something that I'm going to consider at least a little bit. All that said, I think that Bobby should win. Oh, yeah, I'm not calling him king. I'm just not doing that. Maybe in a few fights, like once it's more like broken in. But I mean, I just have to rewire my entire brain to think of him as King Green instead of Bobby. So for me, it's Bobby. The name. In terms of a pick, I mean, I don't know. I picked Patty on my Discord, I guess because he's younger and he's got that hometown advantage and he's more explosive. And I think he's got more finishing upside here. But at the same time, I mean, my brain is telling me Bobby probably wins. So this is a fight I have very little confidence in. This is a fight I can't really get behind. If a lot of money comes in on Patty last second, I could get to a Bobby bet, like maybe plus 125, plus 130. I could maybe get to Bobby. But I think I'm probably going to stay away because I don't have a great read, obviously. If I'm telling you I can see both sides happening at a high clip, I don't have a great read. So I'll stick with my pick on Patty, but I think an upset, I guess it wouldn't technically be an upset. Green's been the favorite, but I think a Green win is very, very live as well. So going to move on. All right, next up, we're up to our co-main event, the UFC Interim Heavyweight Championship. We got Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blaydes. Aspinall 14-3-0. He's 31 years old, 6'5" with a 78-inch reach. On the other side, Blaydes, he's 18-4-0. He's 33, so he's 2 years older. Going to be 1 inch shorter, but he's going to have the 2-inch reach advantage. So, look, I'm a huge Aspinall fan. He's my favorite active heavyweight by a landslide. I think that he can beat John Jones at this stage of his career. I think that he might be champion for a really long time. I think he's an absolute stud. And I'm just super, super high on the guy. And I've been saying he's going to be champ since he came in and fought Collier for his debut. But here's the thing. I mean, at the end of the day, Blaydes is still really good too. And Aspinall isn't perfect. He's not fully tested yet. And I think we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here. Curtis Blaydes is plus 300. That translates to about 25%. The books are giving him a 25% shot. They're saying 75% of the time Tom Aspinall wins this fight. My question is, how can you get to that? Like, how can you get to 75%? Aspinall has never left the second round, ever. Let alone going 3, 4, 5 rounds. He's never left the second. And Curtis Blaydes has gone a tough 5 rounds. He had that 5-rounder against Volkov where they went all 5 and he had to really work. And we've seen him do it. We know he can. He'll slow down a little bit, but he'll keep going. He'll keep shooting takedowns. I think he got like 14 takedowns in that fight. So already, you know, how can you be feeling good about 75% on Aspinall when he's never left the second? He's in a 5-round fight. You've never seen the guy on his back. His takedown defense never gets tested. So we don't really know how good it is. Spivak tested it a little bit. He shot twice, and Aspinall did a really good job at stuffing the takedowns. But Blaydes is a really good wrestler. He's huge. And we don't know. We just don't know. If Aspinall gets put on his back, what's he going to look like? Can anybody with money on Aspinall tell me confidently that Aspinall is going to look good off his back? How do you know? And if you don't know, how are you comfortable laying minus 400 on the guy? You know, if you can't answer that question, how can you lay the chalk? Those two questions alone should be enough to get interest on Blaydes, because Blaydes, we've seen him defensively grapple, we've seen him taken down, and we've seen him deal with it. We've seen him get back up. You know, Almeida took him down, like 8 times? He popped back up pretty much every single time. He didn't let Almeida take his back. He didn't let Almeida land ground and pound. He didn't let Almeida do anything. So we know that he can defensively grapple. We know he can offensively grapple. I think there's a high chance that Blaydes gets at least one takedown. So we're probably going to see Aspinall on his back. So already there, I think there's a good argument for Blaydes. And on the feet, I think Aspinall is a better boxer. I think Aspinall is really good at creating angles. I think Aspinall is a lot faster than Blaydes. But Blaydes at range, I think, is better. I think Blaydes uses his range well. His strikes are clean down the pipe. I think he's got a really good jab. I think he's got a really good 1-2. And he's got good power of his own. So I think Blaydes can be competitive on the feet. I think Blaydes can mix in takedowns. And I think Blaydes can possibly ground out Aspinall. So at plus 300, with that many questions on Aspinall, and me seeing a clear path for Blaydes here by using his grappling, by being competitive on the feet, I think that plus 300 on Blaydes is a good bet. I really do think so. I played a half unit on Blaydes at plus 300. I would have gone harder because I think I have a good argument. I think I have a pretty decent read. But at the same time, I do rate Aspinall really highly. And while I think everything I listed is valid, those are I don't knows. You know, I'm not saying that Aspinall has bad cardio. I'm not saying that Aspinall won't be able to get off his back. It's entirely possible that it turns out that dude can go a hard 5 and be perfect. It's entirely possible that he can be put on his back and then pop immediately back up. But I'm not betting him as an underdog. If I'm betting Aspinall, he's minus 400. You know, so that's where I think those questions come into play. So that's why I like Blaydes at the plus 300. I think he's very live. And I also sprinkled the Blaydes decision prop. It's plus 1,200. You know, I get that it's unlikely. But if we go off all 25 minutes, at least from the data we have, from what I've seen, from what we know, I feel like Blaydes is more likely to win the decision. So at plus 1,200, when I know that he's got good wrestling, he can do it for 5 rounds. Would it be that nuts? If he can plant Aspinall and win minutes on the ground and win a decision, I don't think it'd be nuts. So plus 1,200, I put a tenth of a unit on it, 0.1 to win 1.2. And then I have the half unit on Blaydes at plus 300. So that's what I got for this fight. I'm going to pick Aspinall because I do think he's the rightful favorite. I do think he's a stud, and I do think he can knock Blaydes out. But in terms of a bet, it's Blaydes or pass for me all day long. And we can move on. Fight of the year right here, baby. All right, we got the main event. Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad 2. Edwards 22-3-0. He's 32 years old, 6'2" with a 74-inch reach. On the other side, Muhammad 23-3-0. He's 36 years old. He's 4 years older. Going to be 3 inches shorter, and he's going to be at a 2-inch reach disadvantage. So I like Belal here. I played him twice. I played him at plus 170 for 1 unit, and I played him at plus 215 for 1 unit, both of them on BetOnline. I understand what people are saying with Edwards. Edwards has pretty good takedown defense. He's got a good get-up game, and he's definitely the better striker here. He's a very good striker, very clean. He's straight down the pipe, like I've been talking about. Belal a little bit more loopy. Edwards likely to land cleaner. I'll admit that. I don't think anyone's going to argue that Belal is a better striker than Leon, because he's not. Leon is a better striker. But despite Leon having good takedown defense, I still think that good wrestlers can get him down. I think good wrestlers can control him. And Belal, in my opinion, is a very good wrestler. I think he's got good takedowns. I think he's got solid control. And I do think he can mix those in. I do think he can take Edwards down. I also think that as the fight extends, I think Edwards can slow down, whereas Muhammad, I think, can pick it up. And I think Muhammad, he's going to come out here with a high pace. He's going to be pressing Leon Edwards forward. And that's what he has to do. He can't let Leon dictate the fight. He can't let Leon lead. Because if he lets Leon lead, Leon will probably piece him up. Belal has to be the one pushing Leon back. He's got to be the one pressuring. Use your striking. make him think about something other than the takedowns, because Belal is not a bad striker. Belal's striking has come a long way. He's a pretty good striker. He's got solid combinations, good boxing, decent kicks. So I think he can be competitive if he's the one pushing forward and not giving Edwards space. Because off his back foot, I don't think Edwards is as good. And I think that Belal really can take advantage. I also think that Leon sometimes is hit or miss. I don't know what that was in the Colby Covington fight, but he certainly didn't look like he did against Usman. And if he comes out looking like that, I think Belal 100% could win the fight. And I just think that as the fight extends, I think it's going to favor itself towards Belal. I like his cardio more. I like his pace more. And then just on the narrative side of things, I mean, this dude, Belal, is hungry, man. He's hungry. And I understand so is Leon. Leon worked so hard for this, and he came out there, dethroned Usman when it was a huge deal, and did it in spectacular fashion. Like, trust me, I know the guy also really wants to be champ. But it's just something with Belal. I feel like the dude is so hungry. He's worked so hard, and I feel like he's going to come out here and he's going to really put it together. I think he's going to shock a lot of people, and I think he's going to be able to beat Edwards. I think it's likely a decision win, but I just think he's going to be relentless. I think he's going to fight with really, really at a really high pace with a lot of pressure. And if he's mixing in those takedowns, using the striking to, make Edwards think, I really do think he can win. So I really like my spots here on Belal at plus 215, even plus 170. I thought was a pretty good line. So yeah, Belal will be my pick. He's the bet, and I think we're going to see him become champ on Saturday. Now, might end up looking stupid, but it is what it is. That's the game we're in. So that's it, guys. That's UFC 304. Thank you all for tuning in. Real quick, I'll run through the bets because I've got a lot of them this card. I've got a lot of bets. I think at this point, we're probably getting towards the end of, I don't think I'm going to be adding anything else. But here's what we got. So we got Muhammad Mokaev at plus 100 for 1 unit. Really, it was plus 110. I tracked it wrong. Can't really do anything about that at this point. So we got it plus 100 Mokaev for 1 unit. We got Preston Parsons minus 130 to win 1 unit. We got Jake Hadley at plus 210 for 1 unit. We got Gregory Rodriguez at plus 124 for 1 unit. We got Blaydes at plus 300 for a half unit. And we've got Belal at plus 170 and at plus 215 for a unit each. And then we've got Wood wins in round 3 or by decision at plus 120 for 1 unit. We've got Allen wins by sub by round 3 at plus 3,200 for 0.1 units. And then we've got the Arnold Allen Giga fight doesn't go at plus 170 for 0.9 units. And then we've got Curtis Blaydes decision plus 1,200, also 0.1 units. And that's it, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. In terms of other stuff going on, so tomorrow I'll be dropping my YouTube shorts. Usually I drop them today, and I do the show yesterday on Tuesday, but was feeling under the weather, wasn't able to do the show, so did it today. Shorts will be tomorrow. The panel with my guy 138 MMA, Tyler, that's going to be tomorrow, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, as we're going to be joined by Narco Cop and Liam Picks Fights. Should be a lot of fun. Make sure you're checking that out. Make sure you check out the shorts if you like short form videos. And then, like I mentioned earlier on in the show, this weekend, on Saturday, I'm going to be doing live commentary for Warrior Cage Grappling. It's a promotion that does jiu-jitsu inside of a cage with MMA gloves. So it's a little bit different and should be a lot of fun. And I'll be doing live play-by-play commentary. You guys will be able to watch it on pay-per-view. It's like $20, I think. I'll drop the link for everybody interested on Twitter and on Discord. And make sure to check that out. So I won't be around during the card early on. Won't be posting fight-by-fight updates or anything like that. I'll be busy. But afterwards, I'll come on and I'll join everybody in watching. Hopefully, I'll be able to at least catch the last few fights. And what else? What else did I want to mention? Oh, yeah. And make sure you're in the free Discord, the Couch Warrior Podcast Discord. The link is in the description of this video and in the link tree of my Twitter bio and my YouTube bio. The Discord, that's where you can find all of my bets. That's where you can find all of my notes and my breakdowns. And that's where we talk fights. We have so many different channels for UFC, for all the regionals. We talk about all the fights in there. I think we have 270 people right now, and it's 100% free. So make sure to check it out. Maybe you can use my notes to fade me. Maybe you can use my notes to tail me. Maybe you can just use them to figure out your own bets. Hopefully they're helpful to you. My breakdowns are there. My picks are there. So make sure to check that out. And thank you guys all for tuning in. Peace out and good luck this weekend. Let's get it.